A Tuesday morning, 7:12 a.m. You're still in bed. Your phone buzzes on the nightstand and you reach over, half asleep, one eye open, and you see a notification. A deposit. $847. And here's the thing. You didn't go to work yesterday. You didn't make a sale. You didn't answer a single email. You were watching a movie with someone you love, and then you went to sleep. And while you were sleeping, $847 showed up in your account. What does it actually take to get there? And more importantly, why do so many people try, and spend years trying, and never make it past $50 a month? That's what this is about. Let's start where most people actually are. Not where they pretend to be. Where they actually are. You're 26 years old. You make $48,000 a year. Which sounds fine until you break it down. That's about $3,000 a month after taxes, and by the time rent, food, a car payment, and a phone bill take their cut, you've got maybe $400 or $500 left. And that money doesn't sit still. Something always needs it. A birthday. A car repair. A flight home. Your money doesn't accumulate. It circulates. In and back out. Every single month. And here's the thing nobody says out loud but everyone feels. You are completely dependent on showing up. If you stop working, for any reason, a week, a month, a bad quarter, the money stops too. There is no second engine. There is only you. Your time, your energy, your presence. Traded for dollars. 1 hour at a time. This is what financial people call active income. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's how almost everyone lives. But there's a ceiling built into it. A hard mathematical ceiling. Because there are only so many hours in a day. And at some point, you're going to hit that ceiling. And you're going to feel it. That quiet suffocation of knowing that no matter how hard you work, the math doesn't change. That's where most people stay. Forever. But some people, not many, but some, start asking a different question. Not, how do I earn more? But, what if money could move without me? That question sounds small. It isn't. Let's say you have $6,000 saved. You've been careful. You resisted things. And you put $5,000 of it into a broad market index fund, something simple, something boring, something that tracks the overall stock market. A few months later, you get a dividend payment. $63. It just appears in your account. You didn't do anything. You didn't go anywhere. You were at work, you came home, you made dinner, and your account went up by $63. $63 doesn't change your life. But it does something to your brain. Because for the first time, you've seen proof. Proof that the thing is real. That money can actually generate money. That somewhere out there, there's a version of your future where you're not the only engine. And $63 is the crack in the wall that lets you see it. This is level 1. $50 to $200 a month in passive income. And almost nobody takes it seriously at this stage. It feels like a rounding error. Like a tip. Like something that barely matters. And that's exactly why most people stop here. They see the small number and they think, this will take forever. And they're right. But they're missing the point. Because the question at this stage isn't, how do I spend $63? The question is, what happens if I never spend it? What happens if that $63 goes straight back in? What happens if the $200 a month I was going to spend on something I don't really need goes in too? What happens if this thing just grows untouched for years? The math is the answer. And the math is patient even when you aren't. Here's where it starts to get interesting. You're 29 now. You've been investing consistently for 3 years. Not perfectly. There were months you couldn't. There was a stretch where you had to pause completely. But you came back, and you kept going, and now the portfolio is sitting at $42,000. Your monthly passive income from dividends and the slow appreciation of the account is hovering around $400 to $500 a month. And something subtle happens around this time. Something that's hard to explain unless you've felt it. your expenses haven't changed much. You're still paying rent. Still paying your bills. But now, one of those bills, let's say your electric bill, your grocery budget, that's basically covered by money you didn't earn this month. Money that was already there, already working. And the way you feel on a Wednesday afternoon when something stressful happens at work shifts slightly. You're not scared the same way you used to be. You're not desperate. There's something underneath you now. Small. But there. This is the first real psychological shift. And it's not about the money. It's about what the money does to your internal experience of risk. When you have nothing passive coming in, every bad day at work feels like a threat. Every difficult boss, every uncertain project, it all lands harder because underneath it all you know, if this falls apart, I have nothing. But when something is coming in, even just $500 a month, the threat level drops. Not to zero. But it drops. And that drop changes how you make decisions. You start negotiating more. You apply for jobs you would have talked yourself out of before. You say no to a project that feels wrong without spiraling into guilt. $500 a month doesn't buy freedom. But it buys a little nerve. And nerve is underrated. Now you're 33. Life happened. A relationship. Maybe a move. A stretch where investing felt impossible. But you came back again, and now the portfolio is at $95,000. Monthly passive income is around $1,100. And here's the thing that surprises you. It doesn't feel like enough. That sounds ungrateful. But it's actually important. Because $1,100 a month passive feels incredible in theory. And then you realize your rent alone is $1,600. This is the trap nobody warns you about. Passive income that doesn't cover your life doesn't give you freedom. It gives you options, which is great, genuinely great, but it doesn't give you the feeling you were chasing. And so at this level, a lot of people make one of two mistakes. They either get impatient and start chasing higher risk investments trying to speed things up, dividend stocks paying 9%, crypto strategies, things with fine print they don't fully understand. Or they do the opposite. They plateau. They get comfortable at $1,100 a month. They stop pushing. They let lifestyle creep absorb what they've built. The people who keep going, and they're fewer than you'd think, are the ones who treat this stage as infrastructure. They're not trying to live off this yet. They're building the base. They're reinvesting almost everything. They're adding income streams. Maybe a small digital product. Maybe a rental property with a partner. Maybe a content channel that earns a few hundred a month. The goal at this stage isn't to arrive. The goal is to build enough momentum that arriving becomes inevitable. You're 38. This person you've been following, they've been at it for 15 years now. Not perfectly. Not without detours. But consistently. The portfolio crossed $280,000. The digital product brings in a few thousand a month. There's a rental property with a partner that cash flows $800 after expenses. Monthly passive income is sitting right around $4,500. And this is the level where something strange starts to happen. You realize you could stop. Not comfortably. Not lavishly. But the math now works. If you stripped back, lived simply, moved somewhere cheaper, you could technically stop working. And instead of feeling like victory, this realization feels like standing at the edge of a cliff you've been hiking toward for 15 years, and now that you're here, you're not sure you want to jump. Because your identity is still wrapped up in the work. You've spent so long being the person who's building, who's grinding, who's sacrificing, that stopping feels like losing yourself. Not gaining anything. Losing something. And this is a real crisis that almost nobody talks about. The psychological weight of financial freedom when it actually shows up. It's disorienting. The story you told about yourself for 15 years was, I'm working towards something. And now the toward is gone. And you don't know who you are without it. This is the real work. And it has nothing to do with money. The people who navigate this stage well don't quit. Not immediately. They restructure. They shift from work they had to do to work they want to do. They take 6 months off. They come back with different hours. They start the project they kept postponing. They stop performing ambition and start living it. And the passive income, now around $5,000 a month and growing, stops being the goal. It becomes the floor. The thing that makes all the other choices possible. Now we're at $10,000 a month. You're in your early 40s. The portfolio is substantial, close to $1.5 million. The business or the content or the property or the combination generates the rest. And here's what most people don't expect. Life doesn't look dramatically different. You eat at the same restaurants. You drive a reasonable car. You sleep the same number of hours. What's different is the absence of things. The absence of the low-level hum of financial stress. The absence of calculating before you say yes to something. The absence of dread on Sunday nights. Wealth doesn't add things to your life as much as it removes them. And then, because this is the title of the video and we're going to be honest about it, $100,000 a month. This is either a massive portfolio, $30 million or more generating that level of return, or a business that has genuinely scaled beyond you. A brand. A system. Something that earns whether you show up or not. And at this level, the psychology does something unexpected. Money stops being exciting. Not in a depressed way. In a satiated way. The way you feel after a really good meal, you're not hungry anymore, and the idea of eating more doesn't thrill you. What takes its place is something harder to name. Purpose. Legacy. The question of what this is all for. At $100,000 a month, the most interesting conversations you have are not about money. They're about time. How you use it. What you build with it. Who you help with it. Whether you've been spending these years of your life on things that actually mattered to you, or on things that look like they mattered. That question is available to everyone. But it takes a long time before most people hear it. Here's what I want you to sit with. That Tuesday morning. The phone buzzing. The $847. The deposit you didn't earn with your hours. The money that showed up while you were living. That moment is real. It happens for real people. People who started with a few $100s in an account and made one consistent decision for years. People who got knocked off course and came back. People who built slowly, invisibly, without applause. The number starts at $63. And it feels like nothing. And that feeling, that dismissive, "This will take forever," feeling, is the exact moment where the whole thing is decided. Not the investment. Not the strategy. That feeling. What you do with it. The phone buzzes at 7:12 on a Tuesday. And either that's a story about someone else, or it's the beginning of yours.